computer. Turn the music off. Uh-oh. There we go. All right. So welcome everybody. Hello. My name's Kristel David. Thank you guys for joining us. And I have my buddy Alex here. He's going to introduce himself as well. I love you're popping your favorite childhood snack in the chat. So we've got jelly sandwiches. I love it. That's awesome. So go ahead and keep popping in your favorites in there. So I'm going to start us off with reading something that I saw. We're all home. Most of us are home during this unique time in history due to quarantine. And it's been an incredible time and a time where there's a lot going on. So we really wanted to bring some light in this moment. We wanted to shift the perspective. We wanted to bring some joy and really support a lot of you in really accessing the power of getting in touch with your inner child. So I'm going to read something to you that I saw to get us started. And it was a college kid in history class, and he said, as he's looking back on this time, he said, in history class, we learned that the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 was really bad. What was it like? And the parent said, well, everything was shut down in an attempt to kill the virus, but not everyone followed the order to quarantine for 15 days. So it lasted longer than anyone expected. Many people died who shouldn't have. Grocery stores were out of everything because people were hoarding as much as they could. We were scared of economic failure for our country and for ourselves because we couldn't work. Don't you remember it? You were 8. College kid said, all I remember was the school closing and being homeschooled. I remember doing scavenger hunts in the yard. I remember eating meals as a family for a change. I remember getting great sleep because I wasn't up late for homework or getting up early for school. I remember board games as a family. I remember watching our pastor on our laptop. Honestly, it was the happiest time of my childhood. And I'm going to mute everybody. Sorry. All right, so you guys are all muted, and as we invite you to chime in with us, you can just unmute yourself. But we really wanted to open with that because everything in life is what you make of it, what we put meaning to it, what perspective we choose to look at it through. And Alex and I wanted to bring joy. We wanted to bring it from the perspective of the children in the world, of the perspective of how children operate, because children, they adapt, they evolve, they shift very quickly, they bounce back, and they see the good in things, they see the good in people. And so we'd love to hear in the chat, interact with us. What are some of the things that you've been doing with your kids, if you have any, or things that you imagine you would have been doing as a kid during this time? Let's just kind of get the inner child juices flowing. So thank you for telling us where you're calling in from. We love seeing that. We've got Solana Beach, Maryland. We've got some favorite snacks, Kay's brownies, Frozen. Is everyone seeing her? Screen is blank for me. Okay, my screen is blank. I'm not sure. I'm just reading all the chats. Does everyone not see me? Or is it just?
Kristel can't see your, oh, now you jumped back on. So
yeah, I just see you as frozen right now, buddy.
Okay, this is weird.
Well, while she's frozen, I'll jump in and introduce myself. My name is Alex. I've been going on this amazing leadership journey with Kristel for these last 4 or 5 months now. And yeah, like she said, we wanted to jump in and bring some joy back because we were noticing a trend with COVID-19. A lot of people are, as she read from the quote, a lot of people are reacting from fear, whereas we're seeing the kids of this generation step in and love the fact that they're getting more time at home with their family. So we wanted to bring ourselves back to that inner child and see how we can take advantage of COVID-19 right now.
Yeah. Can you guys see me now, or hear me at least? All right. It's not as important that you see me as it is you hear me, so that's great. So we want to start with a game because all kids love games, right? And I find that One thing that COVID has been able to bring is a lot of playtime and free time if you choose it, and hopefully you are. And if not, it's okay. We're going to start us off with a good game of Would You Rather. So I'm going to be asking my buddy Alex the questions to get us going, and I'll be answering them too, but we really want you guys to answer. And you have the ability to unmute, so we invite you to. We'd love to hear your voices, or you can put it in the chat. So we really want to hear everyone's answers. Everyone's voice matters here. If you think of a kindergarten class or a preschool class, they don't wait in line to scream out the answers. They're all yelling over each other. They're not raising their hand, asking for permission. And that's actually where we got it from, is always having to ask for permission to speak and to take our turn. And so we want to invite you to be back in that space of just thinking out loud and putting your authentic self out there, and just, goodness gracious, sorry, my other phone is recording too. And just put yourself out there. So we're going to jump right in. And the first question is, would you rather be a rat or a possum?
Oh, easy. I'm born in the year of the rat. I am built to be a rat. It's in my DNA. You could not have asked a better question to start this off. No, hey, mother. No, to me, I always looked at a rat as being something I could get anywhere. Rats are really resourceful. If they want something, it's going to happen. They're going to get through that tiny little crack. They're going to make sure they survive. So, that is definitely my answer.
And apparently,
love to hear from the rest of you
as well.
And what?
Apparently, they can cook as well. If you've seen Ratatouille.
Oh yeah.
This is true. I love it. I love it. And I was laughing when I was writing this, because I'm like, I don't even know how to spell opossum, because I realized I was well into my adulthood when I learned that it was a possum, not just possum. So anyways, if anybody knows that or discovered that, that was something I learned in my opossum, yes, thank you. But that it wasn't a possum, it was opossum. But that's what I was trying to say. Thank you, mother. See, I still don't know how to spell it. Okay, next one. Would you rather be able to fly or be invisible?
That's a tough one. I think I'm gonna go with fly, just because I would want to travel the world. Being invisible would be a lot of fun here, but flying, I can get anywhere.
Yeah, I chose fly too, because I was thinking, if I could be invisible, I'd probably do some things I'd probably go places I have no business going. So listening, eavesdropping, and no, I'd rather just be able to fly. What about you guys? So I see a lot of invisible. Najla, you want to share why invisible? What would that bring for you?
I just like going places I'm not supposed to be. So I like to have a different perspective, and I wouldn't necessarily use it against anybody, but it's just for peace of mind.
Yeah. I love it. Awesome. Okay.
I also go invisible, and the reason invisible is just so that I could be curious to get into things that I probably wasn't supposed to be into. You know, places that are locked out, danger zones, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just to be risk taking. Yeah. Get into where I'm not supposed to be.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great perspective. I went straight to how I'd use it a bad way, but I love all the possibilities that you could do with it of now going in. I'd go into the White House, and I'd go into the palaces, into all these places you're not supposed to go. So I love that, Karen. Thank you. Anybody else want to share what they do with disappearing, being invisible, or flying?
I want to fly, because when I was a child, I used to have dreams of flying all over the place, and I haven't had those dreams in a long time. So that's kind of why I was piqued my interest when it said, "What would your inner child do?" And the first thing I thought was fly.
Well, it's interesting that you fly all over the place, literally, in airplanes. That's cool.
That's true.
You literally stay on an airplane, up until COVID, of course. All right, so next one. This is getting more and more fun. So would you rather randomly, just unexpectedly, at any given moment, at least once a week, it's going to happen to you, lose your voice or lose your eyesight?
I would rather lose my voice. I would really rather lose my voice. I feel like the way I live my life is I love to listen a lot. So if I just randomly lost my voice, I would just go and put on a podcast or something for a while.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share?
I would lose my voice also, Kristel, because I think that sometimes it's good to not be able to speak and just listen. And that would force me to, because I'm a big talker.
Just like me.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So, yes.
It sounds like a lot of us, it would benefit us to just lose our voice every now and then. That wouldn't be like a big stretch. It'd just be like, okay, that was good, Brett. Okay, anybody else wanting to share on that one before we go to
I think that one is also, it's more comfortable for us to think about losing our voice than our sight. I think many of us have probably had laryngitis at one point or another. So it's like, okay, I can deal with this. It's all right. But the idea of losing your sight takes away a lot, and you'd have to really lean into, how do I live my life without this sense?
Absolutely. Thank you for presenting that, because I can't even imagine losing my sight. Like, yeah. I mean, yeah. Thank you. That's cool.
I definitely agree with her in that. But being an educator, I'm a foreign language teacher, so I love to speak. So when I've not been able to speak before in my classroom, that's been very, very, very challenging. It's very difficult when you're a talker. However, I've also had to have, I got something in my eye one time, and had to have, I don't know if you've ever used those watering things that blow the water into your eye to rinse your eye out. Well, I actually had to go to the hospital, and they took these suction things that look like suctions, and opened my eyes while I was awake, no sedative, and started flushing my eyes. So I couldn't see for a while. And actually, you get so much more heightened with everything else. Like your ears just tune up and things like that. And, so I do think it really depends on the person, but I do understand the loss of eyesight,
Yeah. Thank you for your perspective. It's awesome. Okay, so last question that I'm going to ask, and then I know Alex has one for all of us as well. And this last one is, would you rather be quarantined with no electronics, or only have one food, and that would be peanuts? So you could only eat peanuts the whole time you were quarantined.
Well, I'm definitely allergic to nuts, so that tells everything.
Okay. So
I'm going to go with eating peanuts, because my technology is my baby.
Yeah.
I can't.
Peanuts.
Yeah, I'm gonna weigh in on the give me the peanuts all day long, but do not take my phone away from me.
It doesn't fall far from the tree.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay, is anyone giving up electronics?
Me. I mean, I would prefer to give up technology, and I say that probably because I don't have to right now, but I think it'd be good if we could just live without technology for even like a day or a week. Just force us to get back to like more quality time, especially with my kids, because I noticed that since we've been on quarantine, so much of their day is focused on electronics between school and just like activities for them. So I'd like to get away from that.
Yeah. I see Wendy's giving thumbs up, and Najla, Wendy, Najla. I'm sure we'll be connecting because she's in my membership program, and Wendy is one of the experts that I want to bring in fresh. She's our parent.
Oh,
yes.
I'm so excited. Yes.
Yeah, so everybody who's on here with kids, you got to connect with Wendy McKenna. She's phenomenal, amazing. Yes. So yay. All right, Alex, I know you have a question for us, so I'm turning it over to you.
Yeah, it's still that same, would your inner child rather, but this time, would your inner child rather be uncomfortable and going out and stretching into their dreams every day? Or would they rather be comfortable at home playing video games? Which one were you? Because I know I was the video game one. I know for a fact my inner child was lazy.
Outside. I went outside. I never came home. I took risks. You know, it was fun. I dream for those days of the benign neglect of parenthood.
Yes.
I was outside all the time, risk taker, getting into everything, never wanting to come in, trying things all the time.
Yeah.
Not a video game person.
So I'm going to say the apple didn't fall far from the tree again. I am too old to have had video games as my comfort zone. But as an only child, I did have books. And I don't know how many books I devoured as a kid, but nothing made me happier than to be either sitting in the back of a car while my parent, who knows where we were going, but I would be in the back of the car buried in a book, or on the sofa, on the living room sofa, any day, any night, book in hand.
I agree. I also, I went outside as a child, but I would get in trouble in class for reading books all the time. And books were such a problem for me. I mean, sadly, I had to put them away because I would get so lost in them that I would probably not pay attention to my kids if I got into a good book. So
That's happened
Awesome.
to me when I got into Netflix. I was like, oh, you guys need to eat today? Oh, I'm a parent. I was like hiding under the bed. I have to watch one more episode. That's why I can't do Netflix. I literally did neglect my kids. I was like, okay. All right. So Alex, you want to take us into?
No, that's awesome. Thank you guys all for sharing. And the big thing there is noticing, like, even as a kid, you were certain with what you wanted to do. Like, you woke up and you knew, like, today I'm going outside and I'm playing, or today I'm going to read this amazing book. Like, you're just like, I know what I want to do. Now as we've grown up, I feel like we have so much input coming in from around us that we've started to suppress that inner child. So I wanted to walk you through a closed-eyed meditation to get us back to communicating with that inner child. So if we can all take a deep breath and close our eyes. And now picture yourself walking up to your first elementary school, where your parents would drop you off, run up and say hi to all your old friends. Start walking around your old campus. Where was the playground? Do you have any spectacular memories on that playground, on that swing set? What about the classroom? Who was your favorite teacher? Walk towards her classroom. And as you open up the door to her classroom, everything is the same as the day you left. Nothing has moved. And you slowly walk into the room and you find your old seat. And whatever gum you stuck on the bottom, whatever you carved into the table, it's still there. Sit down in that desk. Feel the experience of being back in your childhood. And then your favorite teacher walks in. She walks up to you, pulls up a desk, and sits straight in front of you. She's here to impart some wisdom, a final life lesson. Something that she knows can push you into that next stage of your life. What does she share with you? What kind of encouragement is it going to take? Acknowledge her. Hug her. Thank her for everything she did for you growing up. And then as she turns to walk away, you turn around and look at your desk and notice it's filled. But this time, you're looking at yourself. But you're looking at your child self. You sit down in that desk straight across from 8-year-old you. You look into their eyes and you ask them, what do you want? What is it that you want to do with your life? What is your legacy? And then you get to ask them why. Why do you want to change the world? Why do you want to stand for people? Connect with that. And if there's any message you'd like to pass to your 5-year-old self, do so now. Let them know that everything's going to be all right. And once you've done that, stand up, pick 8-year-old self up and spin them around, have a great big hug, and then let them go. And they're going to walk right out that door, back into their life. Now take one last look around at this classroom, the same one you were in the last time you were in elementary school. And then as you start to walk towards the door, you feel something inside you. You feel a warmth, a power. You're realizing that your inner kid hasn't left at all. She's merely become one with you. And she's there for you whenever you need it. You always have access to her.
And as you guys are channeling your inner little girl or little boy, I want you to remember this moment, remember this feeling, remember what powerful ways of being that little child had. And if you're going back there and you're feeling like I wasn't that bold, free, playful child, then go back deeper, go further back. Go back to the moment that you can remember when you were playful and joyful and free and bold and unapologetically you, and not asking for permission, not raising your hand, not lowering your voice, but speaking up and speaking out loud and speaking your truth and speaking your mind and being kind and generous and friendly and open. And I want you to think about if you were looking back at yourself or if you were looking at another child and really face yourself again, how Alex had you looking at yourself, and ask yourself, would you tell that little girl or that little boy the things that you're telling yourself today? Would you tell that child, you can't have that, you can't do that, you can't say that, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't say that? Or would you tell that child, would you tell any child, you can do anything, you can be anyone, you can go anywhere, you can do anything you put your mind to? And I want you to take that same energy. I invite you to channel that powerful confidence that you have when you're speaking to a child and when you're looking into a child's eyes, whether it's your own child, another child. When we look at children, we see the power inside of them. We see the possibilities. We see limitless opportunities. And I want you to remember that confidence whenever you're doubting yourself or whenever you're telling yourself that you can't or you shouldn't. And I want you to go back to this moment of remembering how you would speak to that little girl or that little boy. and speak to yourself with that confidence of you can and you will. And when you're ready, we invite you to open your eyes and come back to this moment. This was just a quick moment in time. We wanted to just give you guys a taste, but I really invite you to do more like this. You can YouTube. I don't know, Wendy may have other resources that she could pop in the chat. I know she has a pillow fight every day. I know one thing that I do daily as a stretch, it doesn't come naturally, because as I grew up into adulthood, I turned off my fun, and it's all about business, to-do list, gotta work, gotta cook, gotta clean. I don't play. And so one of the challenges that I put myself on daily is playing and doing one thing every day that a child would do, whether it's playing hide and go seek, or like Wendy has her community pillow fight. And I wanted to just end on my note, and I'll pass it back to Alex with sharing a quick story of the other day. My daughter was my 8-year-old was outside riding on her skateboard down the driveway, and she held her hands on the side of the board, and she went down the driveway and she scraped up her whole knuckles of her hands, and she started crying and needed a Band-Aid and was pretty much going ballistic, and I thought for sure she was in for the night. And so she sits on me and she's crying and she's just watching her sisters play, and not even 5 minutes later she was back on that board, back riding down the driveway. And it just reminded me of what children have, that superpower that we have as children. And I want you to realize that it never went away. It's still inside of you. It's still inside of me. We still have that ambition. We still have that passion. We still have that grit for life. We still have that willingness to think of how many times a child will ask for something to their parent and hear no, and they're not defeated. They don't care. They don't take it personal. They don't think they're not enough. They don't think they're not worthy. They just think something's wrong with the parent. Give me what I want. Give me ice cream before dinner. Give me, take me to Disneyland, or whatever it is that they're begging for. Let me spend the night. They'll keep asking and keep asking. So when did you stop asking for what you want? When did you stop believing that you could have anything that you wanted to? And if you look back at most of our childhood, we all, just by nature, our parents wanted to protect us. No, don't climb on that. You might get hurt. No, don't do that. Don't go over there. And we started putting all these boundaries, not intentional boundaries that were to hurt us, but as adults, they don't serve us anymore. And so we get to reevaluate, where does our safety come from? Because those boundaries that we put as children, they're not serving us anymore as adults. And so we wanted you to step into that inner child, channel that passion and that inner ability to do whatever you want and be whoever you want to be, and also to be playful in the world. One thing I'm going to end on my note that I love about children is that they don't see color lines, they don't see anything, they just see another child and they want to run and play, and they want to like collaborate. So I want to invite you to go play, be playful with the people around you, go collaborate and connect and be free spirited. So thank you on my part for coming today and spending this time with us. And I'm going to turn it to Alex for his last words. And I'm really grateful for you all for being here with us today.
Thank you for sharing that, Kristel. I'm going to keep it short. I really just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for jumping on and joining us on this experience. And if you have a moment to stick around and share with us, I'd really love to hear what was coming up for you guys while we were going through that closed eye meditation, what was coming up with your 5-year-old self. But thank you. That would be the conclusion of the workshop, I guess.
Thank you. I know I came in a little bit later, and it's interesting because I was fully present when I was on your guided meditation, and what came up for me was how far back in my life I had to go to the age of 5 to feel fully free. And I'm 47, and I thought, it's not the first time I've done this work, but just the reality that it was that long ago to feel so free. And that word free is something I'm seeking and creating in my life now. to be free of what's holding me back, my own inner dialogue and not feeling enough up until now. So I really appreciate you doing that. And I do get to be that little kid again, because it's so amazing. And like Kristel had mentioned, little kids, they don't have these boundaries. They don't have these experiences that limit them, right? Unless a parent said, don't do that, or, like they're going to just go balls out and play, and then they're going to learn along the way. And then that childish freedom is just infectious, for sure.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, we all it's shocking for all of us how far back we get to go, because it starts really young. Like you said, if you have a parent that tells you don't do something, your freedom is now cut, and we just keep building on top of that. So being aware of it and being able to just tap into that inner child is so amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share?
I think for me, my childhood was very, very different. I started martial arts when I was 3, trained 16 hours a day. So my brother and I weren't allowed to be kids. And so for me to go back and think is yesterday, really. I mean, I love thinking about the elementary school and things like that. As a matter of fact, my boss right now is my cheerleading coach from elementary. How that happened, I don't know. But, it was a pleasure just to picture myself walking up to the elementary school. I love that part. And my favorite teacher, that was great. But the freedom I never had. But now, my daughter and I tease, my daughter will be 21, and we tease that she's the adult and I'm the child. I will stand up, she's working from home as well as myself, and I'll stand up in front of her and I'll just start dancing like crazy. I'll jump on her and tickle her. I'll take her, I'm like, you know what? Let's have ice cream for dinner. Cold Stone. She's like, okay. I'm like, yes. And we just rode by yesterday and found out they're open. I'm so excited. You should see me when I get my Juice Plus. When my gummies come, I am jumping up and down like my daughter will tell you. I'm like, my gummies are here. My gummies. She's like, oh my gosh. So for me, it's kind of different just because of the childhood that I had. I did climb trees, played football with boys and things like that. But other than that, I went back to yesterday. I could go back to yesterday. So thank you so much. This was great. This was great.
Thank you for sharing.
I also, I had to go back to being 5, and it's interesting that this guided meditation was presented today, because I was talking to a good friend this morning, and she had told me, like, I've known you since we were kids, and you don't see what I see in you because you don't focus on that anymore. I really could identify with what Kristel was saying, is I don't play anymore because I am so focused with raising 4 children and working and school and everything else that, like just that, hear that today and to kind of go back. And I very vividly remember my kindergarten teacher. I remember my kindergarten teacher better than some high school teachers, and they did believe in me so much. And that's something I've really gotten away from. And so like that, I'd like to do this guided meditation again because I think it's so important to hold on to that feeling, because I haven't felt that in so long. So thank you.
You're welcome. And yeah, I agree. Whenever these guided meditations that bring us back to our inner child come up for me, it's like it changes the rest of my day, at the very least, if not the rest of the week and month and how I go forward. Because you tap into something that we forget we have access to, something we don't allow ourselves to tap into. So giving ourselves that permission to be, it's okay to go in there and be a kid. It's okay to go back to that place. And that's actually where we're most powerful. So not only can we should be going there. Anybody else want to share?
I'll add, my name is Jade. I joined just in the last few minutes and I missed the guided meditation. So I'll definitely be looking for the recording so I can do it on my own time. I kind of was beating myself up like, oh my God, I'm running late. But I just came from a beautiful 2-mile walk with my daughter. I had to run to Publix to grab just a couple things for dinner. And instead of jumping in my car just to go for a mile walk, I said, you know what, let's go for a walk. And instead of driving, we walked over there and walked back. It was about an hour and 20 minutes, but it was beautiful. We saw the lake and all the animals, and it was really pretty. So just being around her, another child, was really, it really influenced me. And just a little thing I witnessed the other day in a child as well, walking into the grocery store, and with everything going on, a lot of the aisles are empty, and there was a big area that was just completely empty. And the mom was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And she was like very negative. And the child, a little boy, he was like, Mom, I can create a whole skate park here. And it's just that curiosity, that imagination, you know, that inspiration, it really kept me going. So thank you guys for doing this. I'm looking forward to doing it.
That is so beautiful. Thanks for, just having, like you said, being with your kid unlocks that, because they're so unapologetically authentic in themselves 100% of the time. It's frustrating and it's adorable. And it's the most powerful part of them. So yeah, I mean, you weren't here for the guided meditation, but you still got you got everything you got from that walk. So thank you for sharing. I think Kristel and I get to jump off here, guys, but thank you so much for taking the time to come play with us, come play with your inner child, and I look forward to seeing you guys around.
Yeah, I love the chat. So we were gonna say a call to action to go put this in practice. So you guys are already doing that. Connect with somebody, go do this again. So we set that intention and you guys created it. So that was awesome. So yes, we invite you to not let this stop here and create this opportunity for yourself. Bye, everybody. Thank you for getting on.